in order to understand other things in the scripture, such as the year that Yeshua began his ministry. It says that he was about 30 years of age, which means he was not yet 30. But what does that mean? Because in Hebrew reckoning of time, the year that a child is born, the day he is born, is his first year. So that means that in our thinking, in our reckoning of time, he was literally 28 years old in Western Gentile thinking. Now this has to correspond with the very first time he was at the temple, and he overthrew the changers' tables on the Temple Mount, and the religious leaders came to him and said, "What sign do you show us that you have the authority to do this?" And he said, "Destroy this temple, in 3 days I'll raise it up." And they replied, "This temple has been in building 46 years, and you're going to raise it up in 3 days?" Now they didn't realize he was speaking of the temple of his body, but yet 46 years in building, this gives us a benchmark to know when the year that not only Yeshua was born, but also when he began his ministry. All of these things are very important when understanding and studying biblical chronology and understanding the calendar. And that's why we study these things. Now, if you've just newly come to faith in the Messiah and just opened the Bible for the first time, these are probably things that you've never even thought of before. You may have sat in church for the last 40 years, sitting in a pew, listening to the same sermon over again, and listening to the same invitational hymn at the end of it until you're about to go crazy, and you've never been taught these things. But you know, the scriptures are so rich, they are so real, they are so mathematical. It is science, it is precision, and the Creator's real science will always bear out that the Hebrew scriptures are an accurate record of the land, the people, and the events of which they speak. Near the end of his ministry, Yeshua said there's only going to be one sign given to this wicked and adulterous generation. It's the sign of the prophet Jonah. And it says he turned around and he departed. As if to say, if you people can't figure this one sign out, if you can't count to 3, I'm out of here. Now, what is the sign of the prophet Jonah? He explained it. As Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale's belly, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. That's the only sign that's given. And if what we do is twist the death, burial, and resurrection of Yeshua around the worship of pagan gods, around the worship of Easter, the Babylonian sex goddess, then we will never, ever be able to figure out this one sign. And of course, all of you know in the Western world, you've always been taught that Jesus died on Good Friday and got up before the sun came up on Easter Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't get 3 days and 3 nights out of that period of time. Einstein couldn't get 3 days and 3 nights out of that period of time. It's impossible, because what we're trying to do is twist the scriptures and twist this one sign around our comfortable pagan traditions that we've grown up knowing as Christianity. It's time to wake up and flush the toilet on these pagan traditions that we were told to never, ever learn. Do not get involved with these things or you're going to get thrown out of the land. Well, the Christians have adapted the very same things that got Israel thrown out of this land and turned this into a wasteland. You want a good example? The things that happened to them are written for an example to those upon whom the end of the age has come. And you better be very careful thinking that you're some kind of hotshot, because if God did not spare the natural branches of Israel, you be careful that he spare not you as well. Because some of Israel, not all of Israel, just some of Israel was cut off because of their unbelief. And you stand by your faith. You, a wild olive branch, were grafted in to the natural olive branch. You are grafted into the root, and as long as the sap, the nourishment flows into you, you are going to be changed in your character. You are going to produce good fruit. You who were once a wild olive branch bore terrible fruit, at best, if any. Now, if you abide in Yeshua, then you will bring forth much fruit. But if you do the same thing that Israel did, you beware, because you will get cut off too. Exactly what Shaul said. And here we are in this land to demonstrate the very thing. This is the demonstration. This is the demonstration the Almighty gave to the whole world, the land of Israel. And now you see that the desert is blooming. The area that no one lived in now is being populated again. He is fulfilling his things in his season. According to Yeshua, there would be only one divine sign of his authenticity, the sign of the prophet Jonah. That one sign, the sign that ensures that we have the real Jesus and not the counterfeit another Jesus, as Paul coined the phrase, requires us to be able to count to three, twice. As Jonah was in the belly of the great fish for 3 days and 3 nights, so the true Messiah said that he would be in the grave for 3 days and 3 nights, and that he would also be raised from the dead on the 3rd day. The religious system that preaches another Jesus, a counterfeit gospel, declares that their Jesus died on Dagon Friday and got up on Easter Sunday, clearly short of the required 3 days and 3 nights. But the counterfeit Jesus people tell us that it really doesn't matter that their Jesus can't count to 3, that their Jesus cannot be depended on to keep his word, that their Jesus keeps all the Babylonian sun god festivals, and that their Jesus violates the Torah and teaches others to do the same. The one sign of the authenticity of the real Yeshua is also the one sign of the counterfeit religious system that invented the greasy grace, sloppy agape, loosey-goosey Jesus that is promoted in the positive thinking, name it and claim it, psychobabble sermonettes of paganized churchianity. I am asking the real Yeshua, who actually did spend 3 whole days and 3 whole nights in the grave, to expose the false Jesus who has usurped his throne over the past 2,000 years. I am asking the real Yeshua to shake the man-made religious system that has stolen his identity and denies his authority. Will the real Messiah please stand up? Join us again next time as we continue our adventure of discovering the Creator's calendar and the restoration of all things. This is Michael Rood bidding you shalom, peace, and I will see you when the smoke clears.
Michael Rood Ministries presents The Greatest Story Never Told, The Jonah Code, and the 70 Weeks Prophecy of Daniel. Join Michael Rood on this journey of discovery that will change your life and your perspective of the future. Order online at michaelroodministries.com or call 1-800-331-9745 now. The Jonah Code, The Greatest Story Never Told, and the 70 Weeks Prophecy of Daniel.